Hello, and welcome to Procrastinating for Perfect. I'd like to always start off by saying good morning, even though it might not be morning where you are. It's definitely morning here. Right now, you might be listening at another time, and that's fine as well. But the topic that I do want to discuss is procrastinating for perfect. And that's a really, really great topic. And I always love discussing it because it applies to everyone no matter what field, no matter what career, no matter what you're doing, we all have experience with procrastinating and waiting for perfect. And I just kind of want to go over some things with you regarding that. So you'll actually stop waiting for this perfect that actually never ever, or, I don't want to say never, but it could never happen. The first things when I actually first started with like events and in business, and even before I started with my transition into fitness, when we were just doing events and business networking, I first just kind of jumped in and I'm like, okay, I don't need to do all this planning. I'm just going to jump in. Everything's going to be great. It's going to work out. And it didn't really work out that way because I did need to do a little bit more planning. And then after that, I was like, okay, you know what? Now I will plan a little bit better. And so I actually ended up going a little bit too far. So instead of giving myself a, a time frame that I was going to plan, get things together, and then execute, I would just get stuck and lost in the planning stage. So it would be weeks and months that I would be planning something and then it would never get executed because I was waiting for it to be perfect and I was waiting for it to be exactly, what I wanted it to be. And there was always changes and there was always upgrades that I can do. And, I just want to say that that's not, you could always upgrade something and it could always be maybe this much better, but I would rather that you put something out there, get feedback on it, see how it goes, because that is the best thing to help you as far as making something better. Because maybe in the planning stage, you think something needs to be better that really doesn't need to be better, but you don't know yet because you haven't executed it yet. And it's still in the planning stage, it's really still just a thought if you haven't acted on it yet. And we're all very guilty of it. But I would definitely say that as far as procrastinating, giving yourself a time limit and making sure that you don't go past that time limit. If you say, hey, I'm going to take 4 weeks and I'm going to plan this project X and I'm going to execute it at the end of those 4 weeks, 90% of the time you need to execute that at the end of those 4 weeks. Now, if you want to give it a few extra days because maybe you had some technical issues or something else happened like that, I would never say, well, nope, doesn't matter. You should absolutely just execute it anyway. No, take those a few extra days, work that out. But after that, it needs to go. It doesn't need to wait an additional few weeks, an additional few months. Because the thing is that if you're, putting information out there, if you have a product that you want to sell, if you have a service, and you keep waiting, that is potentially customers and audiences that you could have had that you're actually losing because you're taking so much time to try to make things perfect. So there are a few reasons that people do wait and they do procrastinate for perfect. And one of those reasons is because people do not feel like they're educated enough on something. And education is one of those things that we should always, every day, um, strive to get more information. So there should never be a time where you're like, okay, I'm completely educated on everything. I know everything about everything and I don't need any more information. Said no one ever. That's not how things work. So you'll always learn more information, and the great thing about that is that if you're doing something like this, where if you're doing like a instructional video, or if you're providing information, what you can do is present it, and then later on down the line, as you're learning, which you should be able to do a part two to it, be able to add to it, be able to do an extension to it, because you are never going to feel like you know everything, because you don't, and it's a learning process. So you don't have to know everything to start it or to go into it, because it can always be an intro to something. It can always be, something that's leading to other things. But you should be learning every day. So today, if you present something, you should learn something different the next day. I always make sure that every day I at least set aside 3 hours for learning new information. And every single day, I learn something different. And I don't mean just sitting there, on the couch or. I actually do it while I'm doing other things. So it kind of fits into my schedule. I drive a lot. So I listen to a lot of podcasts in the car. I haven't gotten on the audio book thing yet, but I'm definitely looking to get into that. But yep, I listen to things in the car. I listen to things while I'm cleaning up. If I'm doing something else and I know that I have the attention that I can listen to that, I do that as well. So 3 hours seems like a lot, but it really isn't. If you're driving and you have a commute, that's at least a half hour, 45 minutes. That's at least an hour to an hour and a half that you have to listen to things. If you're home, you're cleaning up, you're doing dishes, you're doing something else, anything, you're cooking, things like that. You have time to listen to information to help whatever field you're in. Like I said, whatever your niche is, you should be listening to things like that to help you grow or whatever you're presenting so that you will feel at least comfortable with presenting that to other people. Another thing that people feel uncomfortable about that kind of helps with that procrastination is that they're new to presenting. And so, because you're new to presenting, you think that other people know that you're new as well. And that's not true. You know that, but just because you're new to presenting doesn't mean that you're new to whatever you're discussing. And so, you might be discussing something that you're very, very familiar with. And so, what happens is that you're like, okay, I know a lot about. I'll use me an example as far as fitness. Dance fitness instructor. I am great as a dance fitness instructor. I know a lot about hosting events. I know a lot about social media marketing and presenting, but now I have to present that to people and let them know about what I know. And now I'm uncomfortable because I'm not used to presenting. So I don't want to come off as someone who doesn't know necessarily what they're talking about or someone who looks new to presenting. And it's okay to be new to presenting. I wouldn't say that as far as if you're presenting something, if you're doing like a conference or if you're at if you're in front of people or even if you're doing a video, to start off by saying, well, I'm really new at this, so bear with me. I wouldn't do that. You don't have to do that. You know that you're new. They don't need to know that you're new. Just present it to them. But the thing is that if you know what you're talking about, I would definitely just focus on that content and making sure you have something that's extremely valuable to provide versus concentrating on, oh my gosh, I'm not really a good presenter. I'm not really a good speaker. Because as a lot of us know, and if you don't know yet, you're going to learn really soon in business, in sales, in marketing, you're going to be presenting a lot. So when people say things like, oh, well, I'm not a presenter, I'm not great with sales, you have to, because you present and you sell to people every single day. So the best thing is to just get comfortable with it, do it over and over and over again so that you get more and more comfortable. It's enough having to worry about the information and making sure you have all that together. And so, like I said, if you can kind of eliminate things that are going to be something that is a concern to you, that's great as well. But you're not going to be able to do that unless you actually get it done. I used to be really intimidated by even the smallest things, like being on video. And even when Facebook Live came out, I was uncomfortable about that. I used to be in front of the scenes a lot. And then I pulled back a little bit. So because of that, I actually ended up developing this fear that I didn't even have previously. So when Facebook Live came out, I remember I opened the Facebook Live um, about 4 times. I opened it up and I looked at it and I'm like, I'm not ready. And I opened it up again and I'm like, I'm not ready. And I did that for hours before I finally just was like, okay, I'm pressing the button, I'm going live. I can't mess up because it's live. So, after I did it, it was great. I do lives all the time now. I think it's awesome. But that's just little things. Like I said, for me, I'm not a shy person. I'm a very outgoing person. I've spoke at events. I've done lots of things like that. And even still doing that Facebook Live was still a little bit, like I said, uncomfortable and kind of intimidating for me because I didn't know. So, kind of just not getting caught up in that, which leads to the third thing that I wanted to discuss, which is, getting out of the habit of saying one more day, because we can definitely get caught up in, I just need one more day to get this done. I just need one more day. I just want to do this and get this perfect one more day. So, we're absolutely not going to do that. Just like I said before, there might be a few weeks, and at your end of that time frame, but you realize that there's still additional things that you need to do, and that's fine. But then there needs to be a time limit on that. If you have like a technical issue that happens, and you're like, okay, I need a few more days to figure this out. It's Monday. I'll give myself till Wednesday to get this done. I wouldn't even say Friday. Give myself till Wednesday, and then boom, present it. There should be no way that you don't present, or you don't, whatever you're trying to accomplish, that doesn't get done unless you physically cannot do it. Other than that, it needs to get done, because once it's done, it's over. You don't have to worry about it. Like I said, you can get feedback. A lot of times it's better than what you think it is. And then you can work on fixing it from there. But you can't work on fixing something if you haven't done it yet, if you haven't taken the action to do it. So that's the best way to learn. Present it, see what happens, get feedback, and then fix it for the next time. But at least you started to get the momentum going. The last thing is, completely obvious about procrastinating, and that's just plain being scared. We're all scared of a lot of things. And again, the only way to get over that is to, actually do it. The best thing about when you start doing things and you are scared and it is a little bit intimidating, and then you do it, is that it gives you now the courage to say, okay, I've done this. Now I can go further and do this. But nobody has accomplished anything or learned anything from being scared and not doing things, and just kind of waiting. Because, like I said, your waiting could actually be hurting you. You could be losing out, like I said, on different, building your audience, maybe selling to someone, maybe connecting with someone, because you're waiting for something that's perfect. And even the people that have been doing this for years may not find something perfect, but like I said, it's a craft and you get better at it. So like I said, whether that's whether you're doing like a class, if you're doing something online, whether you're presenting something in person, whether you have a product that you need to start pushing, whatever that is, please, please, please do not procrastinate for perfect. Because if perfect never comes, you're only going to plan for so long before you and we just can't help it. As people, we get distracted. So if you plan and plan and plan for months and for weeks and for days, and you're planning and it's, you're just like not ready, and you're not ready, there's a chance that you can then start doing something else. You can get distracted, you can get discouraged, and you don't want to do it anymore. Set a time frame, a reasonable time frame, not I want to do a Facebook Live and I'm going to plan that Facebook Live for 6 months. Nothing like that. You're going to say, hey, I want to start presenting and building my social media presence. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with a Facebook Live. I'm going to take 7 days to plan that Facebook Live. I'm going to plan what I'm going to be talking about on there, how long estimate about that will be. And I mean, really, like I said, 7 days is a while to plan something like that. But, we start small and we build on that. So, I would say you should definitely do something like planning that for about 2 days. Get your content ready and then go. But if you are more of someone who wants to make sure they have everything kind of in order, 7 days would be the longest, I would say. 7 days, get it done. Especially on that seventh day, it should happen, because there's no technical issues, because you don't have to do anything but press live and make sure that your internet connection is good, and then just go. But you do want to make sure that you're, as far as like content and information that you're providing, that you're comfortable with that, because you don't want to get on something, especially something that's live, and not have all the information that you need to be able to discuss it. Because if you're live and you're sitting there and you have nothing to say, and there's like these weird silences, it's it's even worse, because you're just like, everyone's sitting there like, what are they doing? Are they thinking? You can't be looking like, okay, well, looking at my notes, or, you just want to make sure that you're focused. You don't have to worry about remembering, because you already have your notes, you already know what you're talking about, and you're great. If you are presenting and live is a little bit scary for you, I would definitely say that just recording yourself. You can actually use YouTube, and use the Google Hangouts feature on there, and record yourself, look over it yourself, and then post it after you've recorded it, if you don't want to do something as intense as live yet. So either way, I think it's great. Even if, like I said, no matter what it is, it might be something completely different that you want to do. Just make sure that you get it done. Like I said, go back over it. You can always change things. You can always make things better, but you can't fix something that's not there. You can't work on something if it's not tangible. So thank you guys so much for listening. I hope you have a great rest of your day. If it is morning, if it's night, have a great night. Bye.